The yard sale stretched across the dying lawn of an old farmhouse on the outskirts of Henderson, Texas, just a half-mile past a rusted-out gas station and a church so warped by time that the steeple leaned like a drunk pointing to heaven. Was the kind of place you only noticed when you had to. Maybe your car needed gas, or maybe, like me, you were killing a Sunday afternoon with no intention of spending money, but unable to resist a hand-painted sign that said yard sale. Antiques, oddities, and curios. I remember thinking how the air felt wrong as soon as I stepped out of my truck. It was a still, sticky kind of quiet. No breeze, no bird song, just the low hum of cicadas and the buzzing of a fluorescent light hanging crooked over the porch. The house itself looked like it had been built sometime around the Dust Bowl. Its paint was the color of old bone, flaking off in patches, and the screen door hung open, banging softly against its frame every time I stepped too hard on the porch. Yard sale was sparse, a few tables of mismatched china, stacks of war-era magazines, framed photos of people long dead, and several pieces of furniture too busted up to be worth hauling. But I liked that kind of stuff. Not the valuable antiques, necessarily, but the strange leftovers of other people's lives. There was a particular table tucked into the corner, half hidden beneath a sun-bleached tarp. Where I found it, it was a box. Just a plain wooden box. At first glance, maybe the size of a small shoebox, with brass hinges and a black iron latch. What caught me was the carving. Someone had etched symbols into the lid, not in a decorative way, but deep, jagged, obsessive. Circles within circles, angles that made my eyes itch to look at too long. It didn't seem like anything satanic or occult. It was older, weirder. Tribal maybe, but not in any way I recognized. $15, said a voice behind me. The man who said it looked like someone had stitched him together out of hard labor and spite. Wiry gray hair, sun-creased face, eyes so pale they looked fogged over. He smelled like motor oil and pipe tobacco, and something else underneath, like soil that hadn't seen sunlight in years. Where'd it come from? I asked. He gave a shrug that was more of a twitch. Basement. Belonged to my grandfather. I don't mess with it. You want it or not? I handed him a 20 and told him to keep the change. I didn't open the box right away. Maybe it was because of the way the man had looked at me, not warning me exactly, but not hiding something either. He had the exhausted air of someone who knew the end of a story but wasn't about to repeat it. Still, I took it home and set it on the workbench in my garage, next to an old tackle box and some broken Christmas lights I kept meaning to throw out. That night I dreamed of mud. Thick, black mud swallowing a field of bare trees, all of them bending away from something I couldn't see. There was a sound too, a wet clicking, like someone popping their jaw in slow, deliberate rhythm. I woke up with my mouth full of the taste of metal, like I'd bitten down on a rusty nail. I told myself it was just the heat and the cheap beer. I didn't sleep well in July anyway. A few nights later, I finally opened the box. The latch came undone, with a reluctant snap, and the hinges creaked like old bones. Inside was a bundle of cloth, stiff with age, and when I unwrapped it, I found something that looked like a figurine, maybe 6 inches long. It was carved from some kind of dark stone, not obsidian, not quite. It was rougher, almost porous, and it absorbed light more than it reflected it. The thing it depicted was ... hard to describe. Part animal, part human, maybe neither. Its proportions were wrong. Arms too long, legs bowed backward, a face that was less a face and more a suggestion of features. Empty sockets, a snout-like protrusion, and a mouth that curled up too far on both sides. The more I looked at it, the more it seemed to squirm in my vision, like my eyes didn't want to track it. I don't know why I didn't throw it away right then. Maybe it was morbid curiosity. Maybe I didn't want to admit I was scared. That night, The noises started at first. It was just the usual creaks and groans of a settling house, but then it got louder. Footsteps, slow and dragging, across the attic floor. My attic was empty. I'd cleaned it out myself the previous spring. Still, the sounds continued every night, always at 3:17 a.m. like clockwork. I checked. Once I even stayed up with a bat in hand, but when the time came, nothing happened. No sounds. I relaxed, thought maybe it was my imagination, and drifted off. I woke up the next morning with my feet caked in mud. I live alone. My doors were locked. And the garage where I kept the box smelled like wet earth and decay. I found streaks of black muck along the cement floor, leading to the workbench, and the box was open again. After that, things got worse. I began losing time. I'd blink and find myself standing in the hallway, lights off, hours passed. I'd dream of fields I'd never seen, scorched places, dead land under purple skies, the air thick with the buzzing of flies the size of birds. I saw things watching me, not just in dreams, but in mirrors, in windows. Glimpses of long, thin limbs folding into corners, eyes that glowed soft and orange like coals left to smolder. One night, I woke up standing in the backyard, barefoot and shaking, with a shovel in my hands. I dug a hole 6 feet deep and didn't remember starting it. The figurine began to change. At first I thought it was in my head, but no. The arms were longer now, stretched like melted wax. Its mouth had opened wider. You could see tiny teeth inside, like a row of pins. I tried to destroy it. I threw it into the fire pit behind my garage, doused it with gasoline, lit a match, and the flames went out the moment they touched it. Not gradually, just gone. Like something sucked the heat away. I took it back to the old man's house. But the place was abandoned. Windows shattered, door off the hinges, weeds growing taller than the porch railing. The inside smelled like rot and old blood. I found a room in the basement where the walls were covered in those same carved symbols. Blackened with soot and ash, candles melted to the floor. The man was gone. But in the corner of that basement was a pile of dirt, fresh, loose, and beside it, a child's shoe. I ran. I didn't stop to think. I didn't take the box back home, but that didn't matter. Something had followed me. Now the mud appears every night. No matter how often I clean it, it comes back, thick and black, and stinking of death. The figurine returns too. No matter where I throw it, it ends up on my kitchen table by morning. I've tried everything, burying it in concrete, tossing it into the lake, even mailing it to a museum in Dallas. But it always comes back. And every time it's changed just a little more. Last week I saw something in the neighbor's yard. A tall shape, hunched and swaying, with arms that reached the ground and fingers that tapped the earth, like they were searching for something buried. The dreams have stopped being dreams. I wake up screaming, the taste of dirt in my mouth and my fingernails packed with soil. I've begun hearing whispers in the drain, in the walls, in the silence between words. They're telling me things, telling me to dig, telling me to feed it. I don't sleep anymore. I can't. Not because I'm scared. That came and went a long time ago. Now I'm just waiting. Because I know the thing in the box is almost done changing, and when it is, it won't need me to bring it home. Again, that it'll come walking.